As our chair is out sick tonight. So it's the practice of the village to have the most tenured member of any committee or commission serve as chair pro tem in these situations. So we will need to complete some procedural gymnastics to start tonight's meeting. So with all that in mind, and in the absence of Chair Renner, I would like to call the February 17th, 2026 SEC meeting to order and call the roll. Member Bushio?
Present.
Member Hance?
Here.
Member Minkelcook?
Here.
Member Twitchell?
Present.
Right. So we do have a quorum. Is there a motion to nominate a chair pro tem?
So moved.
Who would you like to nominate?
And senior member, is it?
To nominate Member Twitchell?
Member Twitchell, yes.
Second.
Thank you.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The ayes have it. So, Member Twitchell, the meeting is yours if you'd like to come to the chair's desk.
Oh, you want me to move? Okay, I can do that. Maybe this one will be up higher. All right, so first order of business is consideration of the minutes from October 21st. Can I entertain a motion on approving those, or did anyone have any revisions?
I move to approve.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, done and done. So non-agenda items and visitor public comment. So if it's for any subject that is not part of our general business, if someone had a comment, this would be their opportunity.
Non-agenda items, is there anyone on Zoom who would like to make a comment on non-agenda items? There is not.
Okay,
we'll move along.
so we will keep going. Okay, so general business, the first item of business is consideration of a backyard animal license for chickens at 221 East Scranton Avenue.
Yes, so we received an application from Anastasia Lupukin and Peter Besser of 221 East Scranton Avenue to keep chickens in their backyard. The neighbors at 216 East Scranton had just moved out of the neighborhood and had left these applicants with the chickens to care for them. And so I actually conducted an inspection there yesterday. Sanitation looks good. Cleanliness is good. Size is good. One concern that we did have brought by a resident, which we confirmed under the zoning code, has to do with the distance from the property line. And I have talked to the applicant a little bit about that. But I'd like to invite the applicant, Peter Besser, here now to just say a few words about the application. And, yeah, if you could come up to the podium.
Peter Besser. I just we've lived at 221 for about a year now, and as you know, Shelton mentioned, our neighbor recently left, and kind of as a favor and kind of for our daughter, you know, we like animals, that we took on these chickens. Yeah, so built structurally for the winter because we can't go down and put anything into the ground because of the ground thaw. We built it from using the fence line, and so it is on the fence line. If, as we discussed, Sheldon had kind of discussed, I need to move it, and I will move it. To the extent I can do that, if we get a little bit of a time until the ground thaws, that would be ideal. But yeah, I'll move it as needed. Anything else we didn't want to cover on this?
So we'll, yeah, if any members have questions.
Yeah, so I looked at your schematic there, and behind your garage, you've got the kind of the run for the chickens back there, and it is along the fence line.
Yep.
Do you have enough room between the fence and your garage to move it 6 feet or more away from the fence line?
6 feet.
Yes.
No,
That's-
not there. Definitely not there. Where'd you get 6 feet from?
I think that's the code.
5 is
5 feet? I'm sorry, 5 feet.
The enclosure, or at least the run attached to the coop now sort of stretches from the garage to about the fence there.
My understanding of the code is that it's 5 feet if the structure, enclosure, whatever it might be, is 10 feet or more in any length, width, height of any kind. So currently, I mean, I built it not, the chicken code that I looked at didn't have this, stipulation. And upon further inspection, we've kind of found that it's a 10-foot rule. So if it's under 10 feet, I get up to 2.5 feet from the property line. And so I like measured a little bit back behind the garage. I think that I'm going to end up having to move it maybe away from the garage area because of the 2.5 feet if I move it within under 10. But yeah, I'll have to move it of some kind. So Michael, to answer your question, no, I don't have 6 feet. I can't move it 5 feet, keep it behind the garage. I can move it 2.5 maybe and keep it behind the garage, but it would it'd be tight for him, and I mean quality of life probably not that good.
Right.
So I'll probably move it. I might leave the run, but move the coop somewhere where they get a little more space.
Okay, we maybe for discussion purposes, I know we may need to see a schematic of that to kind of understand it better. Or if you, Sheldon, have you
I
seen
can
that? Or can you pull that up?
Pull
maybe?
up the existing one on
Yeah,
here,
that'd be good.
share it with you.
What's your concern, Michael?
I think the concern is just the ordinance and making sure that it's far enough away from the fence line to stay within the ordinance of the structure.
Okay, and so if we agree upon the schematic, like if Sheldon pulls it up and we agree upon it here, and then I want to avoid having to, it took a while to build it. I want to avoid having to build it 3 times.
Yeah.
Fair,
Hey,
fair.
we support the chicken coops, but
Okay,
there's a limited number of licenses that we are going to make available in the village. And we have a village with varying property sizes, and some can accommodate chicken coops and stay within the ordinance and stay within, practice of keeping them.
okay, I
And
see.
some just may not, so that's what we need to evaluate.
Got it.
That's all.
Okay,
There we go.
thanks, Sheldon, this is great. So my garage, you see the frame, so right there, the yellow part is where the chicken coop and run is now. It's actually further, that would be west, so it's up against the garage kind of more closely, so that the short length of the L is actually not being used. What I would do is I would move the coop 2.5 feet from the property line, and that short length of the L would go down the garage further, moving deeper into my property versus on the property line. So that's kind of my intention. And then the long length of the L, I may or may not keep, but it would definitely be 2.5 feet from the property line itself.
So it would just go longer on the other side. Yeah, thank you.
So this right here, so currently the coop is like here, and this is used. This probably exceeds 10 feet. I didn't know that rule when I built it. So that exceeds 10 feet. So I will shorten this to be sure that it's under 10 feet, and then to the extent, I think this is about 5, probably a little less. And so if the 2.5 would make it might be too thin for the chickens, which I may.
2.5,
I may not keep this.
you're talking about 2.5 feet, that's about this much.
Yeah.
Yes, so the zoning regulations say that any accessory structure in the backyard should be at least 5 feet from the property line unless that structure is, does not have any dimensions exceeding 10 feet. So if it's smaller than 10 by 10 by 10, then an exception applies where it can be 2.5 feet. I think we've got that. Can find that in here too. Yeah, so that's in 10.5.9 C and D.
So I don't expect the 2.5 feet to be. I'm worried about the chickens having too little space.
Right.
Right.
And so if you show this, the diagram again, if we're operating off of 2.5 feet, that decreases this space. So really, I'd move the coop 2.5 feet from the property line, and I go along my garage on this side, which gives them more. So that'd be it.
So where will the chickens live, I guess is what I'm saying.
And this is the run. This is just that's ancillary space. They really need the coop and then a few feet here of running space. But this length is not being used right now. I just built it here because it's the winter, and I can
Sure.
go into the ground. So I'll move the coop here, and the chickens will live here.
Gotcha. Okay.
It should be fine. It should be, and this will be 2.5 feet if that's the requirement. And then I probably won't use this, but all I ask is for the reconstruction that I get, if I'm gonna rebuild it, which I plan to anyway, to go into the ground for like keep fox and coyotes, but is ask for enough time for the ground to thaw for this reconstruction. Any other questions on this? If this is, what I'd like to do, if it is possible, if we generally agree on the schematic, I just want to, over the time limit given, I can rebuild it, and then whoever comes out, somebody else comes out and inspects. That's what we agreed upon in the meeting, and it looks, looks good.
So what I would suggest, depending on what the committee feels like, but we could do a conditional approval based on this proposed modification for when the ground thaws, and it's feasible to make that change, and then you could provide an updated schematic for Shelton to visit, to review, share with us, and to visit, but that it could be conditional until that time. And I don't know when it's reasonable. I know we can get snow in April, so I'm not sure what a reasonable time is for that, but we could look up when we think the ground will, it's pretty thawed today. It's so crazy weather. But committee members, any thoughts on?
I think we have residents here that may have some things to say about it that are adjoining property to this, and I think I'd like to hear
okay.
from the residents first.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Yeah, and please share your name. Please share your name and then your address in the microphone so it gets recorded.
My name is Harry Nickel. My wife Lois is here also. We live at 224 East Center, which is directly south of them and 1 block to the west. So the corner of our lot is adjacent to the corner of their lot where the chicken coop is, the chickens are, okay? First of all, I want to say we're not opposed to chickens. In fact,
Thank you.
yeah, we're there,
Gotcha.
Thank you.
and they're there.
Thank you.
But we do have a little bit of concern about the current installation that I just want to address, and they have to do with 3 things. Environment is one, process is another, and placement on the property is a third. And I have to say that it very well could be that part of what you were discussing a moment ago may relate to that placement on the property and may address a part of our concern. So, as I said, our lot is immediately south and west of theirs. We have, the chicken coop is on the corner, directly is adjacent to the corner of our yard. And we happen to have in that corner a stone wall with a little patio that has a table on it and chairs, and we frequently eat out there in the warmer weather and have guests and so on. So, we just have a concern about some of the environmental concerns have to do with smell, noise, and so on that could impact us. I don't know that they will, but they could. So we see that as a little bit of a risk, and we have a little bit of concern about that. I know growing up, my grandparents both lived on farms, and several aunts and uncles did, and all of them had chickens. And the chickens could make quite a bit of noise, and they could be not smell so well. But they also had more of them than they have here. So that may or may not be a concern, but it's something that we would like to have at least considered. So then we also have a little concern about the process, because the announcement of this meeting came on the same day that the chickens were coming to the coop where they are now. So it seemed kind of a strange process.
You have the chickens already?
Because the neighbors moved away.
Ah, and they had the chickens.
Yes, and the village had opted
Oh,
to
so you
defer
inherited
enforcement.
Yeah.
the chickens, gotcha.
I don't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
Before we took the chickens, we submitted an application and said that we're going to do this. And they said that the meeting that had just taken place a couple days prior. So it's not, so we didn't just do it.
It's the timing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it just seemed kind of a strange process that the chickens would be delivered before this matter was brought to this committee. And So that's environmental concerns and process concerns. And then the other concern, it seems to us that these chickens will be closer to us and a part of our yard. I mean, the neighbors they'll have, as it is now, they have a whole garage separating them from the chickens and the rest of their yard, and we just have a fence and then our little patio area is right there. So that's just about placement, and again, what you were talking about before may have addressed those concerns. So that's what we have, and so I thank you for your time, and
Thank you for sharing your interest and concerns.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, some of what we referenced addresses the procedure component of it. I think it's a little unusual situation where the chickens already existed. And so someone basically adopting them as neighbors moved away. And then they did submit in time, but the committee also didn't convene again in time to review it. So it's different than if it's a brand-new application for chickens. I don't know, the chickens already existed in the town, and nearby, so I think it was a wonky situation this time. And then regarding the situation, it sounds like they'll be moved pretty significantly away if they're on the far side of the garage. So maybe when it moves, that will alleviate some of those concerns. And then other committee members may have better memories than I, but I know in other applications, similar concerns have arisen from other neighbors. And my understanding is that it's worked out well, that with the criteria that the village put together for sort of hygiene and frequency of cleaning, and the fact that there can be no roosters, a whole series of things, we haven't received a lot of complaints about chickens. So I don't know if that's sort of our experience. Yeah.
Here's just a question. So you're definitely talking about moving the run from here to this side of the garage, so it won't be behind the garage anymore? That's what you're...
Yes, I think for sure, and then I probably won't leave any of the existing structure because there's too little space from the ground, so yes.
Okay, so the run would be on the side of your garage as opposed to behind the garage.
That's right.
yeah, that was probably our biggest concern. And we have grandchildren who we think will appreciate the chicken.
But, all right, as my husband said, our eating area is right here, so we'd be very close to
Okay.
the chickens.
So if he's able to move, if the conditions that we would approve would be that he has to move the run to what would be the east
Okay,
side of the
gotcha.
garage,
Uh-huh.
and no structures behind the garage along the fence line, that would be okay with you?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. And you think that that's possible to do? You could do that?
Yes, I mean.
With maybe having to wait until the ground thaws is okay?
We won't be out of the garden.
Yeah. Could be sooner than
nice.
later if it keeps this way.
It's hard to predict.
I'll do it as soon as possible. I don't intend to wait, but I do want to get into the ground. and
Sure,
get to-
understand. Yeah,
Yes,
understand.
yes.
Yeah, yeah.
I do also, if I wasn't clear about it before, he did not have notice that this zoning issue
Yes.
was a problem. And that's on us at the village because we had assembled a list of regulations
Yes.
for chickens and those zoning provisions were not listed on there, so.
I did catch that too as we were sorting through the documents, so no hurt, no foul, that was on your part. But, the zoning is the zoning, and so when you marry the two, it has to be there, so we probably need to
We'll update
tighten
those.
that up
Yes,
on applications.
yes.
It seems like we have a workable solution to have you still keep the chickens if Harry and Lois are okay with it. It sounds like that's okay. So given that case, I would support it conditionally
Conditional.
upon the placement and inspection of that to comply with what we've talked about.
That
would be
sounds good.
My thoughts.
Yep, and then should that have a date, like mid-May or something, or end of May? I don't know what seems reasonable, but the ground should be soft. Yeah,
I'll do as soon as possible, just, yeah, I mean, mid-May is fine.
How many chickens did you inherit? 6, okay,
They are all hens.
okay.
they have to be,
No
yeah.
restrictions.
And so
They have
just to make sure, you need 4 square foot per hen.
Yeah.
So you have to have at least 24 square feet of space there.
Okay,
And then you'll submit a new schematic, an updated schematic that we can look at?
Yes.
Okay,
terrific.
great.
Okay, could I would entertain a motion for a contingent approval of a chicken license.
I'll enter the motion that we would approve contingent on the receipt, approval, and inspection of the movement of the chicken run and coop to what we talked about today, so that it's on the east side of the garage.
I second that motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There's no one else. Okay,
So we
You
will,
got
I'll be in touch about next steps, and we can issue your license with that condition. I mean, the village administrator ultimately issues those, but this body recommends that he approve it. And yeah, we can talk about reworking that.
Yeah, I'll send it.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Well, thank you.
terrific, thanks.
Thank you
Enjoy the
all for-
chickens.
for
Yeah,
joining us.
congratulations.
Yeah. That's great.
Okay,
Thanks
thank
a
you.
lot.
Bye.
All right, so our next agenda item is the Stormwater Improvement Program presentation.
Yes, and we'll invite village engineer Jeff Hansen up here to give some updates on our stormwater master plan and what we're doing on it. Let me fix my screen share here.
Yeah, you probably noticed East North Avenue has been ripped up. There's some real big construction going on. So I was asked to come here, kind of an update on that project and all the other things we've been looking at. They are working quickly out there, as quick as you can put a pipe 15 feet down that's big enough for you to stand inside of. So it's been going good. The weather's been all right. Hopefully we don't get too much rain this week. We'll keep moving. That's just part of a lot of other projects that we have planned for the village, so.
But it's moving forward on schedule? Okay.
Yeah, maybe a little ahead of schedule. We first envisioned that being them taking a break in winter and finishing in late summer, and now they've worked through the winter. They'll be done by the 4th of July, so we're happy about that. It is messy, though. over
It
there.
is messy. And when would neighbors sort of get their yards back together? It seems it gets pretty
Probably in
disruptive.
July. For June, well, in June, they'll get the stuff off and then they'll plant the grass again.
Okay.
But we can do into that and go to the next slide, Shelton. So like I said, this is all, that project is part of a larger plan that we had put together a few years ago to try to look at, most of the storm sewer infrastructure in the village is original equipment to the village from between 20 and 100 years ago. So as these pipes need to be replaced and as things fail, the question was asked, what should we put back? Because if you just put back what's there, which is undersized, you're not going to succeed in reducing the flooding. So we had people look at, consultants at all the areas in the village that flood, at least many of them. I should be careful to say all, because we identified about $50 million worth of projects, then we stopped. So we didn't go through the whole village, because what we're going to do 100 years from now is not all that relevant to today.
Jeff,
So-
what's the anticipated life when you put in pipes like that? Is it 100 years? Is it, I mean, I know
They
everything's
will
off
say
with climate change.
75, but
Okay.
most of, reinforced concrete pipe will last hopefully 100 years, depending on how it's put in usually. The deeper stuff should last longer because it's properly bedded and the truckloads don't bounce it as much.
Okay, thank you.
It will keep going. So one of the projects identified in that was, the project you see started. So that project location on that map is the first phase that's going to end up going all the way to the viaduct. We first identified this route of going from the viaduct up Sheridan Road down east-north. Before I've been here, George Russell first did that, I think, like in 2012. We had consultants in 2014, 2015 do a study. We did a bigger study in 2020. You'll notice those dates kind of coincide with big floods of villages past, kind
Yes.
of
Yes.
pushed things going. We've been able to secure a few different grants from Lake County. Rep. Schneider found us $750,000 of federal money. The stormwater utility fee was approved in 2024. We got a $2.7 million grant from DCEO last year. So this has been, I've been here almost 11 years, and I've been doing this project probably since I started. It's been a long road to get that pipe in the ground. And
Hey, Jeff, is that $750,000 appropriation come through yet?
yes,
Well, it said in 2023, so before they were
Yeah,
all
okay.
being rescinded.
it did come through.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It was in the,
Good
it was like
question.
an earmark.
Okay.
They started doing those again a few
Yeah,
years ago.
okay.
And it was used for a lot of the engineering work in the last couple of
Yeah.
years.
See, Jeff, just because it's kind of far away and it's a small, can you just kind of identify where that arrow is pointing? Where is that exactly?
So if you see the black outline, the bend goes down Lillian Dell to Lake
Yes.
Michigan. And then the straighter portion is East North Avenue between Moffett Road and Maple Avenue.
Okay.
So that's as far as we're going to get this year. We're going to go through the intersection of Moffett and North, and then bury everything, and hopefully we'll do the next phase within a couple of years.
And within a couple of years, because we need to get the money?
Yes.
Okay.
To finish the engineering and find a lot of money, which I'll kind of get to that more in the end. When we,
Okay,
talk about
sorry.
future ones.
We
This
jump
phase
ahead.
construction contract is $3.9 million, and it's what, a fifth of the way there. So it's we got a ways to go, but we should be there depending on the money. Yeah, we can go to the next one. And
I have a question, sorry to keep
go ahead.
interrupting.
Interrupt me
But
all you
so
want.
for the part that will be in the ground and done this summer, is it connected? So at least it's being used,
It
will
is.
be used by this summer? Like,
It
it's
is.
not just going to be sitting there waiting for the future?
it is only connected to the things that it's touched. So we haven't done what we call the straws. We put this as like the spine of our system.
Yeah.
And then we'll put in straws that go get the smaller flooded areas. That's not going to be this phase. We're only on east-north. So the storm sewers on east-north, which do flood, are hooked in, but it is obviously
Okay.
massively oversized for the.
Right,
going to-
right. But at least it'll be,
There'll be some
Something going through
resolution
there.
of stormwater
There is some improvement.
improvement.
Obviously, it's very localized, though.
yeah, okay. Thank you.
So we started at the lake at Lillian Dell. They put in, yeah, Mike's familiar with this area. So what you see in the top is a drawing about what is going to probably put in this summer with some native plants. The
Nice.
green, long, skinny area is actually a swale that's been
Terrific.
put in. And then there's some pathways. It's not obvious always. We're trying with signage, but a lot of the Lillian Dell area is private land, especially get closer to the lake. The public section is mostly in a slope. So these plantings, these pathways, and some signage are going to encourage the public to stay on the public piece of the property, which is, like I said, not very wide when you get to the bottom. Next slide, Shelton. So they were doing this in January. The top picture, you see the swale that I just talked about that will take an overflow of water down to the lake from where the bottom picture is a junction box. So our new pipe is 72-inch, 6-foot diameter pipe. The existing pipe to the lake is 48-inch, 4-foot diameter. So we're putting a bigger pipe into a smaller pipe. the capacity goes down, water is going to come out of the box that you see, and then go down this swale. So that was put in January. It'll be seeded and it'll grow up, I think, very nicely. The advantage of having it not plug into the whole thing is this swale is not going to get used, hopefully, at all right now. And the plantings will have a chance to establish, the roots will go. It should grow up nicely before it really gets tested.
The green infrastructure is a good story, and something for us to highlight as a method for flood control.
There's gonna be some
And
rock boulders
purification.
in there. I think Fred still said they're gonna put the boulders in that swale this.
There are, it's mostly there. I don't think there's a
Oh,
little bit
okay.
left to do, but
Okay.
the riprap is buried underneath
It's buried
that.
underneath there. Okay, all right. Okay,
They'll,
I
they'll
get it.
pop through
Yeah.
when it deteriorates and
So
the
that's
erosion
already got
blanket
the
goes
loam
away.
On top, it's already has a loam on top of that then.
But you won't see too much of the riprap, I hope, when it grows up.
Okay.
Well, you know, it looks like you're creating a habitat where there was no habitat before.
In
Really.
some areas, I mean, I don't want to be too, because there was,
I mean, you had
it
to rip
was
up a lot.
a little more natural in some areas. It was hard pack rock in a
Mm-hmm.
lot of areas, so this will grow a little more. But everything west of where the ravines come together will still be a hard pack path. That'll be about 16 feet wide. So
Mm-hmm.
this area may provide some habitat, but we did take some out as well, for being honest.
Okay.
Okay, next slide, Shelton. So that is down closer to the lake. This is in the intersection of North and Maple, this water quality structure. So water is flowing east, obviously down north, and then you see those two round structures kind of on the right side of the plan. The first lower one is what you see in the top picture. It's basically like a half wall inside of a manhole, and that wall diverts water into a 24-inch pipe which goes into the water quality structure, which we'll look at on the next slide. And then it comes back into this same manhole. The reason why we only divert some of the water is that they call it the first flush. Most of the pollution happens in the first, as it rains, all the stuff on the street will get washed in. Also, if we put all of the water into the structure, it would just overwhelm it. It wouldn't function properly. So there's a balance. You get about a 10-year storm diverted over. And then when you get bigger storms, it just goes over that little weir wall in the bottom of this structure and keeps going. And then, the bottom picture, you can see, maybe not that clearly, but that's the weir structure is the lower one that's open. You see the two pipes going, over into the water quality structure, which he's standing on. So then, next slide.
They said they dug 40 feet deep to put that in.
Yes, this is one of my favorite pictures because you start counting the ladder rungs going up from the bottom of that hole.
Oh, my
And that
goodness,
is,
look at that.
I don't know if they had to be tied off to go down there or what, but what you see there is the very bottom piece of the water quality structure, which on the plan view, you see the two pipes about in the middle. The structure itself is about 30 feet deep. And there's stuff inside to help sort the garbage, which we will see in the next slide. So there's a few
that.
pictures. The top right is the fiberglass insert, which helps, you'll see it, there's a video we'll watch here in a minute that kind of shows how it works. The bottom left is the screen that went inside the fiberglass piece in the top right, which goes inside the 12-foot diameter concrete structure. And then Shelton, hopefully, fingers crossed. I don't love showing you a marketing video, but this is probably the best thing that I can find that kind of shows you how it traps the pollutants and removes them from going into the lake.
I'm going to go for Plan B here. Because our PowerPoint does not want to share the video, but I will pull it up a different way.
So Jeff, is that kind of a screen, a filter? And then I'm getting at, how do you maintain it?
We have our sewer truck, which I think you've seen on
Yes.
Arbor before.
Yes?
And essentially, it's 30 feet down, and you put the hose down, and you can suck it all out. And That's an amazing vehicle. You can dig with it too. It makes mud. It's a vacuum, but it also will shoot water in, and they can dig around trees without breaking the roots. It's really
Oh, that's
good,
great.
highly used machine that our
Wow.
Public Works guys have. Oh, thank you, Shelton. So
Stormwater regulations often require treatment of runoff before discharge. This can be a challenge on sites where there is limited space for an above-ground solution. The Contech Engineered Solutions CDS Hydrodynamic Separator is a below-ground, flow-through treatment device that uses multiple treatment processes, including swirl concentration and continuous deflective separation, to screen, separate, and trap trash, debris, sediment, and hydrocarbons from stormwater runoff. The treatment process begins as stormwater enters the system through one or multiple inlets. The inlet flume guides the treatment flow into the unit's separation chamber, where water velocities within the chamber create a swirling vortex. At the heart of the CDS system is a unique indirect treatment screen. Unlike traditional screens that can easily become clogged, water velocities within the swirl chamber continually deflect debris off the specially designed screen to keep it clean. The combination of swirl concentration and indirect screening forces floatables and solids to the center of the separation chamber. 100% of floatables and neutrally buoyant debris larger than the screen aperture are trapped in the chamber, and sediment settles into an isolated sump. Pollutants remain in these sections of the unit until they're removed during maintenance. Stormwater then moves under the hydrocarbon baffle, and the treated water exits the system. The baffle acts as a wall for hydrocarbon containment and prevents agitation of hydrocarbons when high flows spill over the diversion weir. During high-intensity events, the internal diversion weir directs flows greater than the design storm around the treatment chamber. The treatment capacity of the system is not diminished during high-intensity events. The design of the system ensures settled material captured in the sump does not escape, and floatables cannot wash out of the separation cylinder. When the storm event ends, the water surface is returned to the outlet pipe elevation. The CDS system should be inspected at regular intervals and maintained when necessary to ensure optimum performance. Maintaining a CDS is a simple process that can be easily accomplished in less than 30 minutes for most installations using a vacuum truck, with no requirement to enter the unit. Many stormwater treatment systems require multiple structures.
Yeah, so the rest of it is not what we put in. And even on that video, they talked about the excess flow being diverted. We don't have that because our flow is diverted by that weir structure that's in line. So that, like I said, that will be cleaned by the vacuum truck. We'll have to learn how often it needs to be done, but there is, that structure is 15 feet below the inlet pipe, so there's lots of space to collect debris, so I don't expect to be out there more than a few times a year. In the spring, we all know the mulch floats and ends up in the storm sewers, so we'll see if we get a good spring rain, how much it captures.
But the sieve part of it will hold something as small as cigarette butts.
4.7 millimeters, I think, is their
Oh my goodness, that's tiny.
screen size, so it should. I mean, the top of it where the floatables go doesn't have necessarily that same screen. The screen is a little bit lower where it circles the water and the water goes out the screen and then the stuff holds. And one of the things I don't think everybody realizes is how much oil gets run off of streets. And that's really what is a big deal there, because that is impactful to the lake. Sediment and things go in the lake all the time. It's good to try to keep it out, but chemicals, oil, large debris, it's good to get that out at this stage and keep it cleaner.
So you think this will help with oil?
Yeah, yeah. And that's just, like I said, oil will float at the top, so it makes the water go underneath the baffle wall. And that's generally how you get oil water separating in storm sewer structures.
Great.
So we have that project, but we have a few other things going on. So we talked about a little bit at the start about the second phase of the Scranton Viaduct project, which would, I hope, be from Moffett to Sheridan Road. That's about $11-12 million piece. So we're talking about that in budget. There might be a bond issuance
a long way.
with the stormwater fee to pay the payments on the bond. But if that is the direction the village is going to take, it'll probably be in 2028.
And you said that was 18 million? What did you,
12.
12, okay, good.
And then the remaining piece on Sheridan Road, IDOT, the state has said that they would pay for the stuff in their own right-of-way. So the third phase of construction would ideally be funded all by the state. They have not said when that check is coming. So that's always, until you get the money from Springfield, you don't count on it too much, but we have to keep our discussions going with the state about how they're gonna give us, it's about
So if
$6
that-
million for that ed
6
piece.
months. So if that one arrived earlier, can then you start tackling it from the other side? Or you would, you'd want it to be contiguous?
You want to go contiguous. Normally, you work top to bottom. In this case, we're working bottom to top. But we wouldn't want to go any faster because that's probably as quick as our staff and our people can go. Is like we do. We're not done with the engineering yet on the rest of it. We're going to hopefully approve a contract in April to finish the engineering in the next 2 phases, and then like I said 2028 is probably when we could do the next construction phase, and then the final one, maybe 2030. It all kind of depends on when we can get our money from the state. And we are always have our hand out at every meeting with the state, the county, any federal officials. So we're always looking for a little extra, because if we do the bond issue to do the $12 million piece, it'd be nice to have some more money left over to put the straws in to really connect other areas and touch other parts of the village, because it's really wants to serve most of the village by the time it's all done, especially the East Terrace neighborhood has lots of flooding problems, and we'd love to get that neighborhood improved. In the meantime, we are doing a couple other small projects over on Evanston Avenue between Blodgett and Woodland. There's a dip in the road. We've had some flooding problems there. That project's about to go out to bids. And then the ravine between Bluff and Blodgett has been eroding pretty badly the past few years. There's been some loss of the backyards of the homes on Birch. So we have a ravine stabilization project. That ravine is kind of shared. The Bluff Road right-of-way goes to the bottom of the ravine. So we have a project we're
Are you
engineering.
talking about the part in blue? No.
There's a ravine right.
Oh.
That is eroding pretty badly. So that is a project probably for this fall. And then, like I said, the Scranton one here, this floods, and there's a couple of homes that have taken some water. So we're trying to get that solved as well. That we're going to start Green Bay Road in about a month and a half, and all the flooding on Green Bay Road is generally due to the pipes are too small, so that's going to get improved as well. So it's a busy year. But it's nice because you have all these years and years of working on this stuff, and now it's happening. So.
Terrific. Do folks have any questions?
Jeff, on the road repairs around Maple and going up north, I'm assuming those will have to wait until the project, or will they advance as they go further up?
They're going to
You start to-
rebuild that block of east-north that's all torn up now before July 4th.
Okay,
So that is to be done. I don't think the grass will be growing yet, but there'll be the
Yeah.
curbs. You can see, what they're leaving behind them is the road base for the new road, the
Right,
reconstructed
okay.
road. So that will be paved probably in June. They have a couple more times to go up and down the road doing other work, but they are moving pretty well.
and Maple's gotten torn up pretty heavy.
And they
too.
will fix all of what they've torn up in
Yeah,
Maple too.
and there's, some good, all the trucks coming through, there's pretty good potholes and everything.
There's some sidewalk too over at Center and
Yep,
Maple that
yep.
they've hit going,
Yeah, yeah.
because those trucks just cannot make that turn, so they end up on the sidewalk, they end up in the grass.
Jeff, I want to thank you for taking us through this, and I've been working with this project for a couple of years because our property is, abuts to this Lillian Dell. And Jeff and Drew and the engineering team have welcomed me and some other neighbors into their meetings, and we've been fairly collaborative, at least coming up to some compromise solutions to this thing. And most importantly, as you were talking, Sylvia, that we worked with them very closely on the getting this back to a more native habitat. And the team that came in to work on this, my wife and I walked the ravine with them. We pointed out all the trees. They protected them with boards and netting. Very careful to, make sure we didn't harm as many. Some trees, had to be adjusted. And then they've hired a really good landscaping company to come in and replant this with, a lot of native habitat and things to make it much more natural looking. So, it was
Yeah, thank you.
good work.
We've been a little fortunate, you never know what you're gonna do to a tree until you dig 15 feet straight down, 8 feet away from it. But we really haven't, I don't think we've killed any major trees. We'll see how they come in the next couple of years, but have not seen the kind of roots that I had feared, especially with some of the oaks at the top of Lillian Dell. I mean, very close, but that hard-packed old path must have stopped them from really putting their roots directly under it. So we will see, like I said, hopefully they all kind of keep thriving for the next few years. But it is a punch. It is big, major construction. It's a lot of vertical trenching very close to trees in our forested village. So we're trying to be as careful as we can, but I'm sure we will lose a couple.
I have a quick question. I'm curious, what has been or what do you see being the most challenging part of these projects? Just out of curiosity.
The most challenging part is really because it's such a built-up urban environment, trying to not disrupt people too much. There's always a push and a pull because you could spend a fortune trying to, make sure nobody's inconvenienced at all, but you'll never get the project done because it'll cost too much. So where that, that happy place is where, people can still go about their daily lives while we're ripping their street up. I mean, when we get further down, it's going to be tunneled, so it won't be, which means it's going to be like bored underground. So we'll have a pit and then a pit, and it'll be a little less disruptive. But most of all, the neighbors have been really nice because they have muddy vehicles. They've had, notices on their door. They've had their water shut off, and people of Lake Bluff in that area have been very good to work with. So it's been nice, and hopefully that continues. But that is, trying to deal with it. If we were doing it in a cornfield, it'd be much easier, but we're not. So that's the challenge.
We are not a cornfield.
No, I used to do cornfield work. That was much easier.
Have you ever had to do it in a city?
Not in Chicago, you mean? That's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
Those do cost a lot more because they have to have, if you think about that picture I showed you of the long ladder, that system of digging was amazing. I mean, they just were to put it kind of pops itself down and they dig it out. And you think about how they thought of and invented that sort of thing. It's amazing how they can do that without having to dig. You think about digging a 30-foot hole, you think it would be 60 feet wide with all the dirt falling in, but they had an innovative system to do that. And that's the kind of stuff you see more in the city. You see more, it takes a lot longer just because you don't have the width, I think of our streets as narrow, and they are compared to a lot of our neighboring communities, but even that is tighter. There's buildings all over that are close. If we tried to do this sort of construction, all the way through the downtown, it would be a lot different. Even right now, some of the neighbors have questioned their houses are shaking. So we have rented some vibration monitoring equipment to put out to kind of just make sure that things are in spec on that. And going through a much more urbanized environment, I'm not excited about that. It's all just a challenge, and there's always an answer for it. That's kind of the fun part. But when I forget what we were doing here once, part of a wall broke, and that's not fun. Or people's shop doors and their windows crack sometimes when you work in real urban environments, and there's a lot of that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's great to hear that Bluffers are being really understanding. I think the community knows that flooding is a huge issue. So I think everyone's grateful the village is addressing the concern. Well, thank you so much for the information. No additional questions from the committee? No, well, thank you very much for sharing with us. It was really fascinating.
Thanks for letting me go on to the village board. I can't get too far into the details, so.
We like details.
We do, we love the details.
Thank
Detailed
you.
group. Thanks, Jeff.
Okay, so the next agenda item is the consideration of proposed meeting times. So that was in our packet, a series of dates. I know I'm not available the next one and potentially the next one due to travel. But I don't know if folks know yet about their availability, if there are any huge issues right away we could address, but otherwise we can put these in our calendars.
Yeah, I mean, August and July probably won't be here,
Yeah.
but everything else, December 15th, iffy for me,
Yeah.
holidays.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
I understand. You don't need us to,
We don't need to vote on this or anything.
Okay.
We just, if there were any discussion, any concerns.
No, I think it's just,
And the only unusual thing on here is, of course, normally we meet the third Tuesday of the month. There was a law signed last year in Illinois that we can't hold public meetings on Election Day. And with the primary election coming up next month on the 17th,
I see.
we just moved it back a week.
yeah.
Okay.
yeah, so I have a conflict,
Okay.
just letting you know now. Okay, so the next agenda item is staff report.
Yes, so we've got a few things there. I know there's been some questions about the draft lighting ordinance.
Yes,
So really, at this point, that's just waiting on schedules to line up for the committee of the whole, for Brian Renner to be present and be able to present that to the committee of the whole so that they can work through it, make any potential changes before it goes for a full vote before the village board.
and so what are those dates?
So the next committee of the whole date, I can't remember if the first meeting in March we're doing a finance meeting, but I would suspect that, let's see, if we have the second meeting in March, which is often canceled due to spring break,
Sure,
the 23rd might be one. And if not, I would guess April.
okay.
So the second and fourth Tuesday, if that
So
works.
that'll be, they've seen it many times, and so this would be Brian presenting. This is the final, we'll be asking for approval for it at that time?
That would be sort of the workshop for any of their potential feedback, questions,
Okay.
changes. So it would go before the committee of the whole, and then once they've given their input, staff would revise the ordinance accordingly, put it on the next village board agenda.
Okay, and we'll be kept in the loop on all of that as it goes
Yes,
forward.
yes.
That'd be
And then-
great. It'd be nice to be able to tell people that's moving forward. 'cause
Yes,
I get,
yes.
I get questions about it.
Yes. And then the other topic I've had multiple questions about is the leaf blowers. So Village Administrator Irvin did present a report to, or he provided a report to the trustees with updates on where the Quiet Communities Study stands, outlining the regulations in comparable communities. And I would be happy to pass this along to all of you.
I think that'd be good.
Great.
Yeah,
Yeah, so this sort of outlines where we're at on those, and that study should wrap up in the fall. I know that there's a lot of support for quicker action and comprehensive action, but as of now, the staff is moving forward and waiting on the results of the study. And if the study suggests that the electric leaf blowers can do the work in these communities as well as gas-powered leaf blowers can, then we might be looking at a more comprehensive ban, but I can't predict at this point.
now where could we get information about how the study is being conducted. So study specifics, how it was laid out, what is the rationale for doing the study, that sort of thing. I mean, I checked the village website, I couldn't find it there, so it's just a description of the study, the purpose, you know, whatever the conclusions will be. I'd be interested in
communities
the
are part
pop,
of it.
you know, if it's a number of households, who complained, who didn't, who had the idea of even doing this. So those are the things about, to say we have a study, but I think it'd be nice if the community could understand what's going on, because there's such support for moving from gas to electric leaf blowers that I think this study came as kind of a surprise. And so I think it'd be nice to have more information about what that exactly is.
Okay.
And are you just studying Lake Bluff? Are you comparing to other communities?
It's 6 communities are part of the study. That's Lake Bluff, Wilmette, Northbrook, Glencoe, Highland Park, Winnetka, and Glenview. And within that group, there's sort of a patchwork of different regulations right now. With a few of those communities have 9-month bans. Glenview has no bans right now, and everyone else is somewhere in between there.
Yeah, based on the prior studies we saw, we wanted to be sort of ahead of most of those communities. I think we thought we wanted to be a little more aggressive. Maybe with the exception of Highland Park, I can't remember, but we were looking more at Evanston and some of the others.
But I
that
think
were a
the
little more.
question came up is, maybe the electric leaf blowers aren't as powerful as the gas leaf blowers, right?
That is one of the concerns.
So that's one of the concerns. So how do you prove that gas is better than electric? That's where I'm getting at. How do you come to a conclusion? Based on what?
So what would be interesting is to understand the metrics that study's going to be measuring.
Exactly.
And, you know, because if they say, well, gas is more powerful than electric, well, yeah, but.
But under what conditions?
Under what conditions and, you know.
And what's the level of
the
satisfaction?
lot sizes that we're talking about in our village. You know, that's, because my fear is they're gonna still come back and say, well, gas is still more powerful than electric, which is probably true.
But there's other considerations
But there's other
as well.
considerations, you know,
Well,
is it good enough?
And air pollution is huge.
Well, noise pollution more significant. We received massive
Yeah, that's-
complaints about the noise
that's the big
pollution.
thing there, yeah.
And
Leaf blowers
climate
have already
change.
started where I live, all day. All day Monday.
It was too nice out, they couldn't help themselves.
That's
But
pretty
it's
bad.
not, it's, yeah.
So that's it. I think metrics is a great way to describe it. So how do you prove that?
Sure.
You know, what's the premise for the study? How
And
is the study going to be
how
conducted?
meaningful. Why is that the only
And
metric?
how do you come to a conclusion? You know, are you going by the manufacturers? Are you going by the providers of the service? Are you going by people's perception of what powerful is? You know, so it's very subjective in some ways. I'd be curious to see how you can come to a conclusion. So,
I mean, it's so similar, you know, this is just dialogue, but it's so similar to like electric cars versus gas cars now. So you could, you know, you can make the argument electric cars are great. In many ways, they're better than gas cars. But can they give you the mileage that you get out of a gas car in terms of total mileage? No. Do you have issues with having to recharge it? Yes. Are they affected by cold weather? Yes. But for people that are in electric cars, it's good enough. You know, it's good enough. It gets me for what I need to do. I don't take long trips in the country that I'm worried about getting out of gas. I mean, so it's to me, it's a similar kind of a argument that you would still come down on the face that says they're good enough. You know, for
I'm
for
just
the job
interested
you're
in the
asking them to do.
specifics about the rationale for the study, how it's going to be conducted, who's going to conduct it, how many homes or residents are involved, because I don't think is this study 6 different communities, or is this study Lake Bluff specific?
This one is, let's see, It's all 7 communities. There's surveys of landscapers and community members. I
And
would,
who's conducting it?
AGZA and Quiet Communities are the two organizations. I'm not sure, Jeff, are you familiar with the study at all? Okay.
Or who's funding it?
That, I could certainly find out and report back.
Something the committee has repeatedly talked about is wanting to invite residents to look at the aesthetics a little differently about, it's okay for one leaf to be on the ground and you don't need to, there's a lot of habitat concerns with all the cleanup and, anyway, leaf simply, there's all kinds of things.
Leave the leaves is a big
Yeah,
thing.
so anyway, there's a lot of other areas of interest to the committee beyond what's more powerful, gas or electric. I
Yes,
think.
Yes.
that's the big picture.
A lot more
And we need to be
nuanced.
able to speak to this because, our friends and colleagues know that we're on the committee and we want to be able to answer the questions that I'm asking, that we're
Absolutely.
asking you.
That's right.
Yeah.
And explain why there's a delay.
Yes.
Well, I can certainly provide Drew's report and additionally answer the questions that you've brought up
I'm
here.
sure someone's
And we can
written that
also
paper.
put all this on the website. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
yeah.
that would be great.
Just have a publicly available
Right.
information about this. Because we do understand that a lot of community members are impatient and would like to see more, or at least just understand what we're doing. So,
And maybe down the road, it would be appropriate to have a special meeting or an SEC meeting dedicated to the study, how it was conducted, what the results are, and therefore the conclusion is this. And based on that conclusion, we will do
We
this.
propose X.
Yeah, and so
Right.
that could be a dedicated meeting. We could invite everybody from the community to come so they can hear about all this.
There's a pretty big advocacy group, this Cleaner, Quieter Lake Bluff. Pam Russell is heading up. They've been strong advocates, lots of petitions signed, very vocal at meetings.
Many petitions,
frustrating.
right?
Very
Yeah,
frustrating.
many petitions that
Yes.
we've, yeah.
Many signatures.
So we want to be responsive to the community.
And just very frustrated. I think what they were asking for, what we were asking for is, okay, let's take the next step. Maybe not a full year, but at least
9 months.
9 months.
That's right.
But I think this study now has become the shiny object that everyone's waiting for.
It's a hurdle, it's
So
causing a delay.
why did we stop? Because of the survey?
I think
Like, why? We,
what President Charlot had, I think, spoken to when this came up at a village board meeting, was that the changes to the regulations just involve a multi-year learning curve and adjustment, and I think the hope would be that we would not change the rules and then change them again after the study. But
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks for that update. Did
Yeah,
you have more
thank you,
things
Joe.
on your staff report? And please do share that with us, I think. we all-
Absolutely.
Yes, that's real important.
I might actually call Jeff back. What do we know about Block 1 and the bids for that?
Good one.
We'll know on March 4th. It's out for bids now. We're looking at, well, first of all, the board would have to approve it. There is some question, depending on how the bids are, because it might be around $1 million. So it's a big project on Block 1. There's 2 windows that we have in the bid that contractors could do. One is basically April to June 5th, and the other is September, a week after Labor Day to Thanksgiving. We're trying to avoid peak summer, messing up downtown. So We'll know more on March 4th, and then the board meeting March 9th. We'll see if we have something we can put up for award.
So what will we know on March 4th?
Well, I'll get the bids on March 4th, so,
You'll get the
Yeah.
response to the RFPs.
so
Yeah.
we'll either be in the roll aids or not after that. And then we'll see what, if the board is going to award, hopefully on March 9th. We'll bring it to them for their consideration. And the dancer sculpture
Yeah.
work is in that bid.
Yes,
So
that's great.
that one, I don't care if they build that more in the middle of summer, because it's not impacting the outdoor dining. But, yeah, that's part of that bid package, is the dancer area.
Just to kind of bring everybody up to speed, the Lake Bluff Garden Club commissioned Margot McGann to do a sculpture. You remember what was on the corner? And that's going to be relocated and completely reinstalled, replanted near the train station. And fortunately, that's been bundled with Block 1,
Yeah.
which is awesome.
That's great.
Yep. And that might be able to go ahead, even without Block 1.
If-
I don't want to say anything else. That's just
Yeah.
the heads up on
Yeah.
what that's all about.
It's up to the village board. I always try to be careful
Yes.
too, because it's their discretion if they want to award a project or not. So we'll bring them some bids and see what they want to do with them.
Okay.
Excellent. Well, that concludes my staff report.
Any other questions for the staff report? No? Okay. Members report. Do any committee members?
I do have a report.
Marietta, what would you like to share?
Okay, so I want to let you know, you may know about this already, but on February 2nd, 2026, our Senator Julie Morrison put forth a bill to amend the Illinois Pesticide Act as it relates to the use of neonicotinoids.
Brilliant.
Yeah, and just to give you a little overview of neonicotinoids, it's an ingredient in pesticides. And if you really want to know how bad neonicotinoids are, neonics, just put that, why are neonics so bad? But I will give you an overview right now. It's a systemic pesticide, which means it permeates the entire plant, even the pollen and the nectar. So the whole plant is toxic to any insect or any being that comes in contact with it. This toxicity lasts throughout the lifetime of the plant and is dispersed into the soil and infects the seeds of the next generation. It's highly water soluble, which was interesting today when we were talking about stormwater management and what gets flushed in stormwater management. So highly water soluble means that it's easily absorbed by all organisms and it's easily dispersed through the environment. That's another thing that makes it very dangerous. It can persist in the environment for months and years. And it's an indiscriminate killer. All insects, invertebrates, amphibians, birds that eat insects and seeds will all be contaminated and potentially die from this. So Senator Morrison's bill, it's called Bill 3200, amends the Illinois Pesticide Act by providing that beginning on July 1st, 2027, pesticides containing a neonicotinoid may not be used on ornamental plants. So this bill removes language from previous drafts that allowed neonics to be used to pre-treat seeds, to be used in public education institutions, and for wood preservation. So that's being removed. That's an amendment. There's also specifics about application. I won't go into that now. There's no broadcasting of soil treatment, spraying, dusting, that kind of thing. There are some exceptions which you can read about. And so it's pretty exciting. It's a baby step, but it's a real important step. Not only are there some new restrictions coming, but it's going to raise awareness about this. So next steps for us, what's next? We will be notified on or near February 27th when it's time to submit witness slips. And witness slips are individual slips that a citizen or an organization can use to register either support or opposition to a bill. And in order to get this bill passed, we need lots, like over 500 witness slips. So that's going to be a very well-organized approach. The hearing, the committee hearing is on March 5th. So there's a sense of urgency about this. So here we are on the 17th. So very soon we'll be getting this, and then there's a big push. We've got to let everybody in the whole state, as far as we can reach, to let them know that this is a good thing. And so that's what I wanted to report about tonight.
Great to hear that our senator is taking action
Yes.
on a serious garden,
Yes.
yard,
Yeah, and
environment
property and
issue.
environmental issue.
I've wondered if it stays when it gets composted too.
It stays everywhere.
Yeah.
And this water solubility is a huge thing because that spreads a contaminant that lasts for years and years and is toxic or, I don't know, it's a term, subtoxic or, so.
And
if-
they're used all the time.
all the time, and heavily used in agriculture. This bill does not address that. This addresses ornamental plants, and I even have here a description of ornamental plant is, let's see here. Oh, I must have taken it out of this version. But it's basically anything that's used for aesthetic purposes. It's not a crop, it's not a vegetable, it's not a native plant. So that's quite a few.
Thank you.
It's so hard, you know, if you go to buy flowers, your pots or something in the spring or summer, you don't know.
Yeah.
And
A lot are treated.
we've been on so many websites, and my wife calls up and says, do you use neonics? And they don't know.
Yeah.
Even where they get the plants from, and if they've been treated or not treated, or were they, you know, taken from ones that maybe were treated, or you know, where was the seed from?
Right.
My
And it's
understanding
just-
are a lot
It's
are.
whether or not you're even, you know, if you, obviously you're not applying them yourself, but you don't sometimes even know your source. They don't know. It's so pervasive sometimes, what you're getting.
That's right.
Yes, and a lot of, there are some nurseries who have moved away from using neonics to control pests on their nursery plants. So I've called, you ask, and if they don't know, okay, but some do. They've switched to biological pest control, you know, insects that eat the pest insects. So it's worth asking all those questions. And mostly just being aware of, you know, I think when neonics came out, I'm not an expert, but when they first came out, like a lot of innovations, it was considered wonderful and considered probably low in toxicity to humans. But when you expand beyond, well, it's not going to hurt me, but it's going to hurt everything else.
Well, and our
Then we have to
arborists-
say-
Yeah,
we
our
have to-
arborists recommend it all the time.
Yes, they do.
And we have to say, no, thank you, we don't want any nicotinoids
Right, I
on
mean,
our
it's used
property.
pervasively in lawns, you know, to control grubs. And so that's the other message is ask your landscaper, what are you using? And then that gets into what do we use instead?
Good,
Thank
cool.
you for that.
You're welcome.
Anyone else have reports? No? No? I don't have a chair's report. So if there's no other items, a motion to adjourn? Do we need that? I don't even know if the village.
do.
We do, okay.
So moved?
I
Thank you.
second.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Well, in my world, you just need the motion for the adjournment, but I don't know about this.
Okay. Well, this is a great meeting. Oh, my goodness. Oh, thank you. There we go. Thank you,
Can you
Mike.
email me about